The U.S. Agency for International Development is known for operating around the globe. Now it has a geospatial strategy it hopes will improve decision-making and ultimately effectiveness of its aid programs. Details now from USAID's Chief Geographer, Carrie Stokes. Ms. Stokes, good to have you with us.
Good to be here.
And tell us about the purpose of the geospatial strategy. What is it going to let the agency do that it doesn't do now?
So USAID, as you mentioned, is the U.S. government lead for international development and humanitarian assistance. And we work in nearly 100 countries around the world to reduce poverty, strengthen the democratic governance process, save lives, and really help people beyond the technical assistance and the development assistance. We want them to be able to be resilient on their own. And we're faced currently with many complex challenges around the world at the moment, and we need every tool in the toolbox. So this geospatial strategy was needed to strengthen the capacity of our entire agency around the world to access and benefit from the advancements in geospatial data, tools, and technologies.
And what are the elements in a geospatial strategy? What's in there?
Sure. So the strategy emphasizes what we call a geographic approach to development. This geographic approach really allows us to better understand where we're already working and then compare that to where are the needs the greatest, and then help us track the progress of our programs as we're implementing them by location in all the many countries that we work in around the world. So this particular strategy actually has 4 objectives. The first one is to ensure that our own staff who work all over the world in many different sectors actually get access to geospatial data and tools. These tools are advancing so fast right now in the geospatial industry, but it doesn't mean that we've been able to keep up inside our agency with ensuring that everybody has access to these kinds of advancements. But just having access isn't enough. We also need to ensure that our own colleagues around the world in USAID know how to use them, because they are experts in what they do in health, in education, in environment, and climate change, democracy and governance, all these various sectors. But with technological advancements in this digital world in which we all live now, it's sometimes hard to keep up and understand how that can inform the kinds of decisions that we are making every day. So we're also trying to ensure that we can incorporate geographic information throughout many of our policies and our existing strategies that the agency already has in place. And then, very importantly, not just looking inward and how we can advance our own operations through using geospatial information, but how we can be leaders globally in the application of geospatial data and technologies for international development and delivering humanitarian assistance.
It sounds like then that you are accelerating the ability to visualize and understand what's already going on there, because I guess someone could find out everything by looking through spreadsheets and databases and reports and put it together. But the geospatial incorporates data that's already there in a way that you can visualize on a map and therefore say, hey, wait a minute, we have this going here, but it could probably benefit from that going on there also. Crude way to put it, but is that about what you're headed towards?
It is. Where we work shapes how we work. And we believe this strategy will help us better target our programs in the places where we know the need, or we're seeing where the need is the greatest. So, for example, several of our overseas field offices, which we call missions, have brought in dedicated geographic information systems specialists, so GIS. And these people that we help missions hire are from the countries, and they have local knowledge, they understand their culture, and they bring with them this expertise to develop custom maps and help visualize and connect the dots about where we may be working, what sectors we may be working in. So just an example, in India, we can now track where women have access to mobile banking tools. That might not seem exciting to us in this country, but USAID works in many places where people don't have access to traditional financial banking that we just take for granted in this country. In the country of Georgia, for example, the GIS specialist there has integrated geospatial visualization to display all of the investments that the USAID mission is making by region and by municipality. And this helps us track our progress with our programs. And then flying over from Eastern Europe right now to the Latin American region, an example there is our GIS specialist is helping us better understand the drivers of irregular migration from Central America. And in the mission in Honduras, we have adopted what we call a geo-targeting approach to concentrate our local programs in the 40 municipalities where more than 60% of irregular migrants originate. And we would not be able to do any of this without geospatial data and technology to be able to visualize these complex relationships between what influences particular places where we work.
We're speaking with Carrie Stokes. She's Chief Geographer and Director of the Geo Center at the U.S. Agency for International Development. And so you are building your own information geodatabases, stuff that you cannot see in the standard commercial map apps that everybody uses that just simply don't show the information you need for the USAID mission. Fair to say?
Very fair to say. Yes. So there is a lot of data out there these days. We're living in a digital world. There's almost a fire hose of digital data coming at us. But within USAID, we need to make sense of what's actually relevant for the kind of work that we are doing and what will help us make better informed decisions about targeting our actual programs, future programs, and being able to track the ones we already have underway. So what's really important for us is to ensure that we are combining human expertise with information about what's on the ground in a customized way that may not have ever been combined in the past to be able to illuminate relationships, trends on the ground, and truly inform what we're doing in a really fast-paced world these days.
And do the commercial GIS tools enable you to build that capability on top of what they offer out of the package?
They do. We use what's called proprietary software as well as open source software. As I mentioned earlier, we need every tool in the toolbox these days. So this geospatial industry is continuing to advance, and many players today are designing apps and programs that were not around just even 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. So it's important for us as the leading international development agency to be able to stay on top of these technologies because the insights that we can generate now are just unparalleled, even compared to when the agency started more than 60 years ago.
Sure, and there is a lot of geospatial activity going on in geospatial agencies like NGA and so forth, and particularly the acquisition of commercial satellite imagery. Are you looking at that and saying perhaps this satellite could aim right there and give us that picture, and then you can buy it and add it to your system?
Yes, we are. So in-house within USAID, we currently have about 70 people with GIS expertise, half of whom are in our Washington-based offices, the other half of whom are in our overseas field offices. With the expertise that we bring and the technology that exists today, it's also critical to get relevant and timely data sets to include remotely sensed imagery. And we do have relationships with other U.S. government agencies to include NGA, NASA, NOAA, and others in the interagency community, whereby we as a civilian agency can get access to high-resolution satellite imagery. It's not classified data, but it's high enough resolution that's very useful for the kind of work that we do. And examples of how we've been using imagery include tracking forest loss and illegal mining, for example, in the Amazon. We have used it to better understand where refugees are moving. There are quite a few settlements in the country of Colombia for people who have left Venezuela during very difficult times in that country. We have been able to track water resources and anticipate places that may be drying up due to shifts in weather patterns. So having the satellite imagery is just one more really critical component of the tools in our toolbox. It's not enough as it is just to be able to see an image of the ground. It's really important to be able to see changes over time and be able to track that and combine it with other layers of data that give us these insights about what's happening on the ground.
Safe to say you won't be asking Congress for a USAID fleet of satellites, though. The capability is there to acquire.
You are right. We're not a mapping agency, but we do use mapping technology, and we remain very active in the interagency community because our government already is investing quite a bit into space-based technologies to help us better understand, life here on Earth, and how we can ensure that we're using the resources most effectively and sustainably for humans to continue to live on Earth. So we leverage the relationships and the investments across